Did you know that when I was 24 years old, I weighed approximately 150 pounds? Now, if you see me now, you know that I weigh more like 200 pounds. I worked super hard to gain some muscle because I hated being this skinny kid. But the thing is, I couldn't just turn up at the gym and lift a weight and then expect that weight to pile on. I had to go, I had to turn out every single training session and repeat. And guess what? I got there. I hit my goals. And the same goes for podcasting. Podcast success starts with repeated discipline. And that is what I'm going to discuss today here on the Podcast Accelerator, the thrice-weekly show that brings you podcast education, industry insights, and straight-talking reactions to podcasting news. I'm your host, Mark Asquith, that British podcast guy and CEO and co-founder here at Rebel Base Media, the podcast tech company that has created the Podcast Success Academy, podcast websites, productivity, Rebel Base Studios, and Captivate.fm, the world's only growth-oriented podcast host where you can host and start multiple shows for one simple price and transfer an existing podcasting completely for free. So go ahead and start your 7-day free trial now at Captivate.fm. And like I said at the start of the episode, success in any field stems from repetition and discipline. And podcasting is no different. In fact, it's very much the same. And that's what I'm going to dig into in just one moment. But look, before I do that, I'd just like to give you a heads up that the team at AWeber is still giving you 90 days completely for free to try their email marketing platform so you can start to build relationships with your listeners, just like I have a relationship with so many of the people that listen to the show. People just like you. Now, you might think it's not important, but believe me, it is vital. Relationships are vital in podcasting. So go ahead and check it out for 90 days completely for free at markasquith.com/AWeber. So to be successful in any field, like I said, it's all about repetition and discipline. And in podcasting, it is absolutely no different. This whole golden age of podcasting thing that is often thrown around often belies the fact that success in podcasting requires hard work and practice. I'm really sorry to burst the bubble. I am, this whole golden age of podcasting thing. It sounds really easy, doesn't it? You plug a mic in, you record, and my good friend Evo Terra alluded to this and went a bit deeper than alluding to it in his very recent podcast Pontifications episode, where he said that, if you want to be good at this, if you want to be good at podcasting, you've got to put time into content, you've got to put time into editing. And that's what I spoke about a couple of weeks ago as well, when I said that it's all about putting the content at the front of everything that you do. So this whole golden age of podcasting thing, whilst I love the notion of it, and I believe that, sure, we are in a particularly abundant time for podcasting, it's very, very easy to believe that this is simple and that you can succeed just by plugging a mic in and turning it on. But it's not the case, all right? Now, the reason that I want to talk to you about this today is because so many people get disenchanted by this. They'll put out 50 episodes, which is no mean feat, especially if you're publishing every year. It's not easy to do this because ultimately, that's a year. That's a year's worth of content. Sorry, if you're doing this every week, that's a year's worth of content. But 50 episodes is not actually that many. If you do something 50 times, you're certainly not an expert. You play golf 50 times, you're not an expert. You go to the gym 50 times, you probably don't achieve that much. You write 50 blog posts, you're not an author, It's only at the point where you do it in high volume. Sure, you write 50 books, then you're probably an author, When you have done 50 years worth of training at the gym, or you've done whatever that 50 months, whatever that might be, then sure, you're much more on your way to becoming an expert. And like I said, the point that I'm trying to get across with this is that just because you have an idea and you create something, it doesn't mean that it's the right thing that you've created. It doesn't mean that it's perfect. It doesn't mean that it can never develop and become better. And it comes down to practice. Now, I've made some very subtle changes to the beginning of this show. I'm 37 episodes into the Podcast Accelerator as it is today. And around, around episode 34, maybe episode 30, I made some very subtle tweaks based on feedback. Evo ribbed me a little bit. Evo's a great friend of mine, so much time for him. He's very much like me, very, very, very straight talking. Give me a little bit of ribbing by just saying that it was like 2 minutes of ads at the beginning of the show. And, fine if that's what the listeners believe, whether it's right, wrong, black, white, up, down, who cares? It doesn't matter what I think. It means that I've got to repeat what I'm doing and change it. I've got to vary things. I have to practice and get better. So you'll notice the last 7 or 8 episodes, I've changed the introduction. I've led with the content even more than I was doing to start with. I mean, this is a short form show anyway. I mean, it has to lead with the content. But the point is that practice makes perfect. Repetition and discipline make perfect. And here's the key thing. That second word that I said there, discipline, all right? You can't keep having weeks off. If you publish every week, you can't keep having weeks off because you're just going to treat this thing as something that you can then take time away from. Sure, set up a hiatus if you want to. Sure, have a week off now and again, but do it right and tell people you're having a week off. Don't just not turn up. It's just like getting up early on a morning and training. So there will be days that you don't want to do it. Like today, it's red hot. It's absolutely boiling in the UK. We're having a heat wave, and energy levels are low. But discipline. I'm here. I'm recording. I'm sweating in the studio. Legitimately, I'm in the Rebel-Based Media studio, and I am hot. I am absolutely sweltering, but I'm still doing it. All right. I'm busy. We're launching Captivate, but I'm still doing this. I'm still doing Spark of Rebellion. I'm still doing the Captivate show with Jess. This is the point, all right? You can't expect success to follow simple publishing. You can't expect success just to follow quick recording and quick release. It's not about that in podcasting. And if it ever was about that in podcasting, those days are gone. So if you believe that that is what the golden age of podcasting means, then I'm afraid you've got a very stark awakening coming, all right? That's why most people end up pod fading. That's why people, honestly, end up stopping. That's why they end up stopping, because do you know what? It's easier to stop than it is to get up and repeat and get up and repeat and then realize, do you know what? Maybe I can do this better. Maybe I can get through this plateau by changing things up. Maybe I can just keep doing this and iterating and tweaking and changing and optimizing. That's the thing, optimization. Change one thing, tweak one thing, test one thing at a time, all right? So you have to put the reps in. That's why so many people that are so successful have done so very, very well after such a long time. If you look at any overnight success, you can bet that it comes laced with 10 years of pre-work, all right? It's very, very rare that you'll find an actual overnight success. Believe me on that, all right? It's very, very rare. So just bear that in mind. I'm saying this because I want you to succeed. I want you to do better. I don't want you to get disenchanted when you don't hit the numbers that you believe you should be hitting. But I want you to understand that you have to repeat. Put the reps in. Put the discipline in. Put the reps in. Put the discipline in, and you will succeed. Might not be today, might not be tomorrow, but you can bet your bottom dollar that you will get there. All right? I promise you that. I promise you that. If you need a hand, honestly, let me know. I'm all over this stuff. Just reach out to me on Twitter at Mr. Asquith. Very, very keen to help and answer any questions. And as always, listen, thank you so much for joining me here on the Podcast Accelerator. Please remember to tell your podcasting friends that the show is available to listen to for free in any app that supports podcasts. And if you're wondering what the best next step to take for your own show is, whether you're a new or a veteran podcaster, go ahead and take our short 5-minute survey where I'm going to help you to diagnose and solve the main issue holding your show and your podcast growth back. Plus, I'm going to give you access to our free, vibrant Podcast Rebellion community, our weekly free group coaching from myself and the expert podcasters here at Rebel-Based Media. I'm going to give you some actionable and insider-only emails, plus an invitation to our Podcast Success Academy, all for investing 5 minutes in helping yourself to grow your own show. Okay, so head over to rebelbasedmedia.io/grow. And until the next time, thanks so much once again. Never forget, the more you expect from yourself, the more you will excel.